Hello, this is Mary Jane from First United Methodist Church in Iowa City. Last Sunday, our closing hymn was Lift Every Voice and Sing. And one of our longtime members, Donita Narr, told me about this book. It's a picture book. And Jim Haskins put it together in 1993 using the illustrations of Elizabeth Catlett. Now, Elizabeth Catlett has a tie to the University of Iowa, and so she also was one of the most influential artists of the 1900s. And so I want to tell you all about her today. I'm doing two parts. The second part of this episode will be me talking about James Wendell Johnson, who wrote the song and how it came about, and I'm hopefully going to have a special guest on that because this song is not for me to sing alone, but to sing together in community. So, let me start telling you all about Elizabeth Catlett, an incredible African-American woman. She was born, here she is, she's doing sculpting, was kind of the medium that she became very famous for. She was born in 1915 and lived until 2012. And I got some of my information from a website that was written by a woman that wrote a couple of biographies about her, and she's just a really, really incredible woman. So let me tell you, here's a picture of her in her later years. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her, and then I want to read you this song in the form of a picture book, and next week you'll hear all about how it came about. So she, as I said, was one of the most important American artists of the past century. And I'm going to read this from that website that I quoted. She produced an unparalleled body of politically charged and aesthetically compelling graphic and sculptural images that were grounded in what she regarded as the historically based necessity to render visible that which had not been the subject of art. So she grew up around D.C., and her father died early, and she was raised by her mother and her grandmother. And her grandmother was a slave and told her about the stories of slavery. And from her mother, she heard the realities of life in the slums in the nation's capital. She went to an African-American Howard University, and then she taught for 2 years and tried to fight legally for the equal pay of black teachers unsuccessfully, and then she decided to go to the University of Iowa. And she went to the University of Iowa in about 1938, and that was in the era of Grant Wood, and she was going to study painting with him, but she really fell in love with sculpture. Grant Wood was very integral in telling her and encouraging her to do art about the people and the things that she knew. And that makes sense with Grant Wood's art too. He painted things that he knew intimately, and so in the same way she did. It's very interesting that just in a couple years ago, at University of Iowa, they named a dorm after her, but when she came to University of Iowa, she couldn't live in dorms because they weren't integrated yet, so she had to find a boarding house. You will also find that there is a large-scale version of Catlett Stepping Out, and it stands in the Iowa Memorial Union at the University of Iowa. So when she went to the University of Iowa, she got an MFA in sculpting, and she was the first person to get an MFA in sculpting at the University of Iowa. And in fact, she was the first African-American woman to get an MFA in art in the United States. She was just an incredible, incredible woman. You could read a lot more about her. Just when part of her career, she got a fellowship to go down to Mexico with a renowned artist, Francisco Zunga at La Esmeralda. And she began to make prints, which you'll see some of her prints in this book. And they became really well known. The Negro black woman is a best known component, and I think that some of these images that we're going to see in this book are from that. This series, The Black Woman, of 15 lino cuts, which is instead of using wood to carve out and then to print with ink, it's like a linoleum based, and it's much easier to work with, and you can tell that you can get a lot of detail with it. It's just really incredible, and then you cover it with ink and it prints. So it shows the harsh reality of black women's labor, honors the renowned historical heroines, and renders visible, which you can see, the fears, struggles, and achievements of ordinary African American women. And most of her subjects were about bringing out the struggles of African American peoples, as well as, she liked it so much in Mexico, she lived much of her life in Mexico, and also brought about, the oppression of poverty in Mexico, and so all of her art really elevates and inspires and educates. She actually wrote, in 1961, she had a keynote address to the third annual meeting of the National Conference of Negro Artists in DC. And she says, "Are we here to communicate? Are we here for cultural interchange? Then let us not be narrow. Let us not be small or selfish. Let us aspire to be as great in our communication as the forefathers of our people whose struggles made our being here possible." And so I think, to her credit, she was a great communicator, just an inspirational communicator through the art, through the medium of art. So she was here in Iowa, and she just a renowned woman. So I want to read you the words to this song, so now we can be pondering those for our next episode, but then mostly to look at these images. Now, each image was not originally with this song, so she also has a little caption for each image. And so I want to read those too. I'm going to kind of flip back and forth. I know it'll be a little confusing, but I think you'll really enjoy knowing the actual idea behind each of those images. And then we'll read the words as well. So bear with me. So this first image she calls, "I have given the world my songs." So here is that image, which is so appropriate at the beginning of this book. "Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise, high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea." And this image is, "I'm Sojourner Truth. I fought for the rights of women as well as blacks." "Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us." And this one is called, "I Have Special Reservations." "Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won." "I'm Harriet Tubman. I've helped hundreds to freedom." There she is. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died. There are bars between me and the rest of the land. Yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. My role has been important in organizing the unorganized. We have come over a way that with tears has been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. And a special fear for my loved ones. Out from the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. I'm Phyllis Wheatley. I proved intellectual equality in the midst of slavery. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, in the fields, Thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path, we pray. I am the black woman. Lest our feet stray from lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Special houses. Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. And this is my right is a future of equality with other Americans. So she was making art during the civil rights movement, but she actually had a hard time she was in Mexico and trying to fight for civil rights there, but she had a hard time getting back into the United States. She eventually did in like 2000, but so she fought from where she was with the art. So that is Lift Every Voice and Sing, and next week we'll hear it and we'll learn about James Wendell Johnson and how the whole song came about, its historical significance and what it means